Hello, you've caught me replaying Final Fantasy IX for the 12th time. It's one of my forever favourites, and I guarantee I'll be replaying it for the 17th time in 10 years or so. It's like wrapping yourself up in a comfort blanket or watching your favourite movie when you're ill. When I play Final Fantasy IX, I can just forget everything and get lost inside that magical world. The only sad thing is, every time I return to Gaia, I realise I'm one more playthrough removed from that wondrous first time, when everything was new, all the twists fresh and shocking, the world undiscovered, the characters waiting to be known. It made me think, man, I wish I could go back in time and play Final Fantasy IX for the first time, all over again. Which is something I've thought about many games over the years, especially when you hear from people picking up something like Uncharted for the first time, and on the one hand you're all happy for them and like, oh yeah, you're going to love it, but then secretly you're also really jealous because you've had your time and will never get it back. So just for a bit of fun, here are 7 games we wish we could go back and play for the first time all over again. Now, I asked everyone on Twitter what games they'd pick before writing this list, and my notifications went nuts, with numerous mentions for the likes of BioShock, Dark Souls, Silent Hill 2, Tomb Raider, Devil May Cry, Mass Effect, Life is Strange, God of War, Heavy Rain. In fact, there were enough incredible games to write this video 5 times over, and so the 7 I've selected are all very personal to me. This list is by no means definitive, so please write in the comments and we can discuss yours too. Anyway, entry number 1 is a game we'd only have to travel back to 2015 if we wanted to play it for the first time all over again, and it's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. A game I didn't take enough time with when I initially played it, rushing through the opening hours, trying to level up as fast as possible and not really taking the time to explore the world and really sink into life as a professional monster hunter. There's something wonderful about Geralt's methodical approach to killing stuff. Research its weakness, brew the necessary potions, apply oils to your weaponry. Probe whatever you're fighting, test out your signs, and then land the finishing blow. So satisfying. Also, just to experience the world again for the first time, to watch in awe as it slowly reveals itself, that realisation that no, Velen is only about 1/3 of it, and that every inch of this incredible setting, despite its size, is filled with history and story and life. Plus, it would be great to experience all those side quests again. Each one is like a mini adventure in itself. They're all unique, brilliantly written, and force you to make some genuinely difficult decisions. The Bloody Baron quest, the Crones of Crookback Bog, that woman who's lost her frying pan. What a world, what a game. Next up, we've got Shadow of the Colossus, which I'd love to experience again for the first time, because it would mean going back to an age where I'd never clambered up a boss the size of an aircraft carrier and killed it by stabbing a glowing zit on its back. Nowadays, that's basically got its own genre.
What are you doing, Dave?
Just organising my PS4 games into folders based on genre. I've got shoot 'em ups, beat 'em ups, clamber up a boss the size of an aircraft carrier and stab a glowing zit on its back 'em ups.
It's just the fashion now, isn't it? If your game doesn't have a boss the size of the sky, then it's never getting greenlit, and so the wow factor of seeing them has kind of lessened. But I clearly remember how I felt when I saw the first Colossus rumble into view back in 2005. A heady mix of terror, wonder and amazement that I'm going to call Tyrondment. I want to feel the Tyrondment again, damn it. Come on, Shadow of the Colossus. Tyrond me silly. It wasn't just the Colossi though. The strange, eerie world in which the game was set was also incredible, and galloping across it on the back of aggro remains to this day one of my fondest gaming memories. It was mostly empty, yes, but it was intriguingly empty. You'd be constantly wondering what on earth happened there, as if you'd found yourself on an alien planet surrounded by the ruins of some ancient civilization. It's that mystery, that intrigue, that irresistible pull through the game's 15-hour runtime that I'd love to experience all over again. Next up, we've got a game no one mentioned on Twitter, but screw it, this is my list. I'll do what I want. And put Kingdom Hearts in. No, it doesn't have a world you have to piece together yourself like in Dark Souls. You travel around Kingdom Hearts in a ship made of wine gums, for crying out loud. And no, it doesn't have the horror and the twists and the gruesome darkness of a Silent Hill 2. But it does have colours and loads of cameos from my all-time favourite Final Fantasy characters that back in 2002 made me squeal like the slack-jawed Final Fantasy fanboy I am. I remember first hearing about Kingdom Hearts when I saw a trailer for it on a DVD that came with my copy of Final Fantasy X, and I must have watched that trailer about 300 times. And it did not disappoint. Within half an hour I was hopping about a Paradise Island fighting cute cartoon versions of Tida, Selfie and Waka, and having so much fun I basically stayed there, grinding EXP by hitting Blitzballs back at Waka for way longer than I needed to. When I eventually left the Destiny Islands, I was obscenely overleveled, which is how I like to play RPGs, and arrived in Twilight Town only to be greeted by... And you do an amazing fight with Squall, who calls himself Leon, which is cool because his name is Squall Leonhardt. And then Yuffie appears, and Aeris, and Sid. Oh my god, it's Sid and their characters from Final Fantasy 7 and 8, and they're talking to each other.
Right! That is it! What are you making all this noise for?
Squall's there, and Aeris, and Yuffie, and Sid. And then you get to the Olympus Coliseum and Cloud arrives. I think I can confidently say I have never been as excited during a video game as when I first played Kingdom Hearts. I want that feeling back. Next up is a game I'd love to play for the first time simply to experience the shock of playing something I had no real expectations of, but that as I played, forced its way into my top 5 games of all time on any platform. I'm talking about Vagrant Story, a game so original and intense and finely written that there was nothing like it before and has been nothing like it since. A hardcore tactical RPG set in the beautiful, haunting city of Leamond, full of crumbling architecture, strange magic, and a dark, brooding underbelly populated by some of the most terrifying monsters I've ever fought in a game. When I first played Vagrant Story, I bounced right off it, repelled by the impenetrable difficulty. I'd find myself up against bosses with seemingly no way to damage them. Until you go back in, master the intricacies of the weapon building system, and start crafting items that specialise in dealing damage to certain types of enemy. You turn protagonist Ashley Riot into a one-man wrecking machine, carving a bloody path through the city using a beautifully balanced battle system. And the story too, and the way it's delivered, each shot beautifully and purposefully framed, like it's been lifted straight from a graphic novel, the dialogue like something from a Shakespeare play, the twists every bit as shocking as anything from Metal Gear, and a villain as enigmatic and charismatic as any I've ever encountered. And the music was pretty cool. If you've got a PS3 or a PS Vita, you can grab Vagrant Story as a PS1 classic. Do it. Play it for the first time and make me insanely jealous. Next, we've got a game I couldn't leave off this list, even if I wanted to, and I don't want to anyway. It's Metal Gear Solid. Now, I could have stuck Snake Eater in here just as easily, but I've plumped for the original, because back when I played it for the first time, I had absolutely no idea what I was about to experience. The realisation of the sheer quality of what I was playing hit me in stages. First, it was the music and the atmosphere and the electric thrill of sneaking into an enemy base inches from being discovered. I think it was when I first crawled into an air vent to get inside without having been spotted. The realisation that I was in and nobody knew was like all the times I'd played James Bond on the school playground, except this time I was James Bond instead of Henchman D. Philip Sizer always got to be James Bond. Then it was the story. I got hooked so bad I distinctly remember putting down my latest Redwall novel a series of kids' books that's like Game of Thrones but with mice and badgers. Which was quite something because I was always reading Redwall books, but now I had something better, a thing about people instead of woodland creatures. It made me feel grown up. Metal Gear Solid felt like a pivotal step on my path from boyhood to manhood, from warrior mice to bipedal nuclear death mechs. And then there was the sheer genius of it, moments I've eulogised so often in these videos, it feels crass to trot them out again, but I can't not mention Meryl's codec number on the back of the box, and the controller switching boss fight with Psycho Mantis, or how he reads your memory card, or the Master Miller twist at the end, or how, when you played it on easy and let Meryl die, just like I didn't,
you unlocked the stealth camo. What a game!
Yeah, there were badgers in it. They were the rulers of Salamanderstron, which is like this big mountain fortress, and they were always really powerful warriors. Don't get too excited, it's obviously completely unrealistic, isn't it? Much like my 6th entry, BioShock. A city underwater, a society gone mad with genetic power, a bunch of creepy little girls walking around with murderous hulks in diving suits. It sounds mad, but I guarantee everyone remembers the first time they played BioShock, the first-person sci-fi shooter that took everything great about its spiritual predecessor System Shock and moulded it into a modern-day classic that's influenced everything from Dishonored to Prey. Rapture was and still is an absolute marvel, impeccably designed, visually striking and incredibly atmospheric. Plus the telltale thud and groan of the aforementioned Big Daddies will be seared into my memory forever. Every door you opened in Rapture led to something new and astonishing. It was a setting that never let up. Every inch of it told a story. And then there's that twist. The gut punch of realisation that you, the player, had been strung along all this time. It simply doesn't get any better than that. To experience Would You Kindly again for the first time would be, like BioShock itself, something very special. Final entry, and this was the game that was mentioned on Twitter more than any other, and it wasn't even close. The Last of Us made such a huge impact when it released in 2013 that video games simply haven't been the same since. It raised the bar for storytelling, for performance capture, for animation, for visuals, for music. It was so raw and tense and packed with emotion. The terror of inching your way through the dark surrounded by clickers, the solemn beauty of watching Ellie hang out with a giraffe that really did not care the world had been taken over by zombie mushrooms. It changed audience perceptions around the type of story a video game could tell. It proved the medium could handle movie-quality character drama. It would be amazing to experience the highs and lows of The Last of Us for the first time all over again. The harrowing intro, the escape from Boston, the bit with Henry and Sam, the bit in the snow, the hospital, just all of it, all of The Last of Us. The game everyone wishes they could play again for the first time, but never can. How cruel life can be. So there we go, 7 games we'd love to go back and play again for the first time. Please do let us know what you'd pick in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, watch another by hitting one of the links on screen, and subscribe so you don't miss them when they go live every Friday. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.